Hello, hello, hello. You have a good week. Wonderful to have you. Here we go another week into Elul. Let's take a quick look at the Sipurey Baal Shemtov. We'll learn about Hashem Sichos Haran for this week, which is actually almost like two sichos in one, but it's not really. It's actually one sicha. We'll see. Abisov of Luzhin came to a small village called Israelovka. Israelova. It was a village in Ukraine that mentions the name Israel. And so he asked the people of the village, what's the reason for that? And said, the thing is that nobody in the village was even Jewish. So he couldn't figure out, what's going on here. What's so so he kept on investigating. And the second day before he left, um, one of the people in the village told him, that in the village there is another person that, you know, one of the old guys, and he lives mamish at the edge of the forest. So maybe he knows. And he went there, a little hut like we have seen in Ukraine when we went for a visit there. And the door was open, and the old man looked at him at the regional, and he said, "What are you looking for?" So he told him he's looking for him because he wants to know what's the source of the name of this village. So the old man told him, I'll tell you what it is. When I was a kid, this the old man said, I was a shepherd. I took the flock amongst the mountains far away from the village, and I came home at night. And I would bring the flock to a river that was, going there between the hills. And one of the days when I came there, I saw that one of the sheep, the goats, whatever it is, they were herding, that was missing. And it so happens, that every day I came there and another sheep was missing. And he said, I decided, he said, from that time on, he's not gonna sleep. He's gonna watch his flock with a hawk's eye. He says, suddenly I noticed there's a big wolf, that wants to attack another sheep. Says I stood there and tried to fight him, but wolves are not easily discouraged. They're very mean animals. Says, and I called out, but I was far away. There was nobody around, and I fear for my life. So suddenly I saw on one of the hills was this young child. It was a Jewish boy, teenager that would, you know, go over the hills, doing whatever he was doing for many, many hours, thinking and contemplating or whatever. And I called to him and I said, Israel, uh, help me. And when the wolf was very, very close to me, this boy came up and said, "Don't worry, the wolf is not going to touch you." And since the wolf actually came close and closer to me, and then he fell as if he was shot. And I understood at that moment that this young man, this whose name was Israel, I just thought he was a Jew, is a holy person. And I started following him to learn what he was doing. And I noticed that every day he would come to this place, to pray or do whatever it is that he was doing. He would, first of all, dip in the river. And he would do it a few times, even in the winter. It was snowing. I saw that he came. I mean, also the river was already frozen. But he didn't give up. He would break the ice and he'd go and he'd toivel. And says a few days later, one of the people of the village felt bad. And when he came by the river and he drank from it, and he was healed. And slowly but surely, everybody that had a problem would come, what kind of illness, he would come to the brook or whatever it was, and he drank from the water, and he was healed. No, Chava Isle, very soon everybody heard about it, and I told everybody about what I had, with this Israel young man and the wolf, and the fact that he dunked in the river, in the brook, and all these Ukrainian goyim decided that the brook, this river, whatever it was, the stream, was holy. It became sanctified because of this young man that was toiling in it, and everybody called it the holy stream, holy brook. And after a very short time, people came and they built houses around this stream, and I was one of them. And this is how the village of Israelova was created, or after the name of the holiest person, this Israel. And one day, when I was shepherding the sheep, the flock, whatever flock it was, uh, Israel came to me and helped me. And this winter morning is, I bless you with longevity. This is good old days. And this man told me there will be one day a person will come to you to ask you and find out what is the source of the name of the village. Greet him favorably, nicely, and tell him the whole story. And until that day, I promise you great good life. And the man finished the story. And suddenly, the Rishna and the old man understood the meaning of the last sentence. He says, I promise you longevity and good life until that day. And this old man passed away. And the Rishna said, according to all the descriptions and all the simonim, that Israel, that this old villager was talking about was Rabbi Sipurey Baal Shemtov. I saw today that Rabbeinu speaks about seeing that everything that happens to Am Yisrael, uh, as we all know that it happens for a reason. But it's not just that. It's not just what happens to Jews, but everything that happens in the world is an expression of of the Malchus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every of the kingship of HaKadosh Baruch Hu everything that happens, even though we don't understand what it is, why, would a football match make a difference? Why would anything? What, I don't know, that they made this huge yacht in Holland. What has it got to do with anything? You know, this is the Rabbi Merle Wine, son of Rocha, just passed away in his 90s, Canada. And he explains the difference between um, general history and um, providential history. And he said his words were that he was an elderly gentleman, and Kananahari was blessed with grandchildren, grandchildren. And when they told him that one of his great grandchildren was turning 3 years old, so he said if he investigated, how the child is and what he's learning, and he says, and he bought a gift that is appropriate and will be beneficial. He says, in his words, for the great Jew that this kid will inevitably grow up to be. And he said, and he will bring the gift over, give it over to the kid. And the story, I told it many times. And he said, for the rest of the afternoon, the child played with the box. The basic difference between the way a Jew lives his life when he is like really focused on what's the role of a Jew in this world. And the outside world, as it were. That's exactly the difference. The idea is that you deal with the gift, which is life, which every single breath is dedicated to making Kodesh Baruch Hu a melech in this world. That's the name of the game. This is your career. You're making use of every day because every day is the stage upon which you can work, winning over this world, over the temptations of this world, the pull of this world, the certain needs that you have in this world that have to be supplied, and you have to make sure that your life is in balance. You have to take care of what you need to take care of, but on the other hand, not play with the box. Running after life in this world is basically playing in the box. You can make hotels and you can mix whatever. My wife and I spoke this afternoon. She'll shoot us about. She said to me, how come there, you see by the Goyim there is I don't know, the Windsor Castle and Balmoral Castle and this castle and these household and different kind of things that were given over, how many people worked in the house of a lord and how many, lived upstairs and downstairs and, what kind of things they use and whatever it is, there are like lists and histories and artifacts and whatever. He says, but we don't have that in Yiddishkeit. How come? Yes, you have some Judaica, you have some Megillas from the Renaissance, you have some Sidurim, whatever it is. But you don't have this of palaces or farms that are owned by wealthy Jews throughout the ages. There's no record of these things. So we get to the conclusion the reason is because all these trappings, all this history that I'm talking about is the box, is the wrapping. It's not the gift. We know the Rambam, but we don't know about the Elon Musk of that time. We have no idea who he was. We know about the Vilna Gaon, but we don't know who the wealthiest Jew at that time was. We have no idea. Why? Because it doesn't matter. Nevertheless, this story shows us, and Rabbeinu speaks about it, that everything that happens in the world happens for a reason, either to a Jew or to a Goy. And it all comes down, it all boils down to crown Kodesh Baruch Hu in this world. This is what it's all for. So if you started the Baal Shemtov, dealing with a specific, village of Gentiles, he throws in the river, and the river becomes, auspicious, for refuah, whatever it is. It's all in order to be Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's take a look in Sichos Haran, and Rabbeinu speaks about what does it take in the trials and tribulations that you have to go through. The Sicha 284, the nisyonos that you have to go through in order to sanctify Kodesh Baruch Hu. Rabbeinu says, according, about the young people, the elder people, those that daven with kavona, and, with hais, with the slavas, he says there are people who confuse them, and they cause them isurim. And with these mispalim start, they start, so they chep it with them, they argue with them, and they cause them tsar, and then confuse them, and they say, listen, if you're really davening with kavana, the noise that we're making, we're in the middle of davening, we're talking in the middle of davening. If you're really such a, I don't know what, and davening such kavana, you wouldn't notice that. You'll be into davening, so you're just making yourself as if you're who knows what. But just be told, you're not really davening kavana, because if you're real davening, with full intention, these are the fact that we are talking, whatever it is, wouldn't bother you. I'm going to say the truth is not like that. He says, even a really great tzaddik gadol amiti, from the biggest tzaddikim, the Baal Tanya, the Berditchev, whoever it is that are davening with tremendous koyach, and to the point that they don't even notice what is going on. If a person will come to him and will make fun of him and confuse him, even though he's really like fervently inside his davening and he's out of this world, as it were, it will confuse him. It will confuse you, give him a great sorrow, even though he's davening kabbalah. That the first story of this particular sikha, but there's a second one. He says, I heard from the mouth of Rabbeinu, that sometimes they're given one person great wealth, and everybody is jealous of him. Everybody's running after money and after wealth, and they're spending years and months and years, trying to get money. What? All because they're jealous of this person. Look at him. Suddenly he was a nobody, from rags to riches, a penniless, immigrant that suddenly became an IT empire, whatever it was. Look at him, and over there, it doesn't work for them. One person, and who knows what, it becomes rich. Everybody else is just, flapping their gums. Beno says, this is all the Maisa of the Baldover that made it especially to give wealth to this particular person, to one person, in order to cause many, many people to spend their lifetime running after money, as we said before. Hashem should save us from this, bad outlook. We'll talk about it a little bit about this When we're talking about somebody who's davening b'koyach and other people that are disturbing them, why would they tell them, listen, if you're really davening, you're really paying attention to what you're doing, and davening b'koyach, you wouldn't notice what I'm doing, which is wrong. I mean, the whole idea is to overcome the distractions of this world. It's connected to the second Maisa also. This world, the Gashmias of this world is magnetic. It's hypnotic. I used to know a man in America, I hope he's still, alive and well, that came from, I mean, he was a technically young man, but he came just to a regular family, whatever. And he married into a family that were like merchants that were doing well, whatever it is. And he bought over his father-in-law bought him a little store in Manhattan. It was called 47th Street Photo. It was a second floor, whatever it is. The guy, uh, this young man, eventually, um, basically dominated the camera business and later on the electronics business in America. Now, the thing is that not only that he did that, but the thing is that he was busy with that. He was working and was working very hard. And was like, I remember once I used to work for him. I asked him once, like, what's your secret? And he said, my secret is that by the time I make my third mistake or my fifth mistake, and I make the sixth decision, which is the right one, my competitors still haven't made his first mistake. And it was going and going and going and going. Uh, but the point is that he was working all week, and every Shabbos he was just sitting and learning the entire Shabbos. And when he came home from work, he would stand by his door, and people would come every day. There was a line down the block. People came, people from Eretz or whatever it is, and he would give his money away every single day. He drove, I remember, a used maroon Buick that was as ugly as a spinster's dress. And he was just like, if you came to his office, to his headquarters, yeah, he ended up having a few stores. And he came to his there was no way that you can ever tell him apart from any of his workers. Some years later, he was in a traffic accident. And it took a very long time to recuperate. He never really came out of it. And afterwards, the business was going down, whatever it is. B'kitzur, he did some kind of whatever it is, and he ended up in jail. I don't know if he did something, the banks did something, whatever it is. But so I remember one of the people that used to be like totally infatuated with this, the rich person and everything he does. And everybody knew that he was giving his money away. And they said, I don't understand this. I don't understand this. Here's a rich man who was giving all his money away, and look where he ended up. He ended up losing up his business. He was in jail for some time. And I have a friend of mine that used to visit him in jail. And he said that his time in jail is the best time he ever had because he's sitting down and sitting and learning all day. There was nothing like but so I remember sitting with this person and that was saying, he doesn't like, how can it be fair? from Shemayim that such a Yid made all this money, gave all this money, and will end up whatever it is. So I said, I want to give you a theory. I don't know if that's the fact, but how about maybe Mishamayim, they want him to come to heaven with all his merits intact, none used up. So he makes all this money and he gives it all away. And instead of just letting her just finish his life, in the lap of luxury, the business is taken away. He's even sits in jail, so even his honor is taken away, stripped away. And so he can come to Elam Habo, clean, fresh. People don't think that way. I don't know if that's the case. I have no idea. But why not be done at Kodesh Baruch Hu? Because people are hooked on Elam Hazeh. And there's this, there's a rich person that many people. Even today, listen, or the lovers of the wealthy are a lot, are many. We have to deal with that. It doesn't mean we need to put down wealthy people. Because Baruch will give the money, you can cover it. But the thing is, he should know that it's a honey trap. You see that he's getting rich, so everybody will start making big businesses and getting to debts and whatever it is, and it doesn't work out. The point is that the rich person gets rich because he needs it. His neshama needs it. The neshama of his children, they need it. The reason why you and I don't have this kind of wealth, because we don't need it. If we needed it, we will have all the tendency and all the willpower and all the muzzle that is necessary, and we would have all this money. No, we don't. But don't get confused by that. The same thing when he says somebody is into Avodas Hashem, it's simple jealousy. Why are the happening with those who are real on this? What do you care? The answer is because I chase this world and I don't get it. And I say people who are really using their time properly and serving Kodesh Baruch Hu. And I look at it and I see I'm between a rock and a hard place. I'm chasing this world and I don't have any. And I'll leave off Avodas Hashem because I don't have the gumption, I don't have the influence, I don't have the kesher to the tzaddik emes to get into it. So what do? I'm not going to put down the rich person because I want to be like him. So I'm going to make fun of those who, Sarah Kodesh Baruch Hu says, the B'yonis, Yetzer Hara has bigger eitzes than what you want. You learn the Kuta eitzes because it gives you answers to Yetzer Hara. Has bigger eitzes than better eitzes to make you sin than these. No, so you shouldn't fight. So you shouldn't work. Hashem should save us from the trappings of this world. We need to do what we need to do. We need to take care of whatever it is we need to take care of. But the main thing is keep a clear eye, B'ezrat Hashem. What is the ikar and what is the tafel? What is the main thing and what is secondary? And the only way that you can find out really what's what is by getting your advice from the tzaddik emes. He's the one that shows you what you need to concentrate on, what you need to stay away from, what you should watch out from. B'ezrat Hashem, the schus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, B'ezrat Hashem, the schus of all the tzaddikim, B'ezrat Hashem, Geula Shleima, Tshuva Shleima, and B'ezrat Hashem, Kodesh Baruch Hu should be mizake us to be Rabbeinu HaKodesh in Uman and Hashem Rosh Hashanah. We'll have a very, very good week, and Shal Bracha and Atzlacha and Kol Tov B'ezrat Hashem. Atzlacha.